My name is Mike Hall. I'm a senior Agile coach trainer at Agile Velocity. My background is in software development, probably as many of you are, and my background most notably in wireless telecom systems and mobile apps. I've actually used Agile methods since 2002. I was an early adopter. And since then, I've participated in and led 7 different Agile transformations, including 3 safe transformations. Most recently, I was at Southwest Airlines, helping with their full enterprise safe transformation, launching Agile release trains, coaching portfolios, programs, and teams. Well, here's a look at what I call the Safe Beast, the Scaled Agile Framework 5.0 big picture. This is the full configuration. Hopefully you're familiar with various aspects of this diagram. And I think it was in October of last year, 2019, that SAFE 5.0 was announced. And it includes significant improvements in the areas of business agility. You'll see the 7 core competencies. They're off to the left, including the one at the bottom, Lean Agile Leadership, and the introduction in the essential layer there of customer centricity and design thinking. And so, yes, those of you that were concerned that there was not enough emphasis on the customer in previous versions of SAFE, now there is an enormous emphasis on customers. And so if you're considering a SAFE transformation in your organization, or you've started one, but perhaps are not seeing the results that you might expect, then this webinar is for you. So here's the biggest piece of advice I can give you. If you are considering starting an Agile transformation using SAFE, don't. Starting an Agile transformation with SAFE or any other scaled Agile framework for that matter is like putting the cart before the horse and expecting the horse to push it. Good luck with that. Instead, we want an approach focused on outcomes, measurable, tangible, and outcomes that lead to meaningful changes. Let's jump in and I'll explain exactly what I mean. So if you're familiar with the SAFE framework, you know that it has these 4 configurations to choose from, and they range from essential SAFE all the way up to the big picture, the full SAFE. SAFE is all about roles, events, artifacts, cadence, prioritization, lean economics, collaboration. These are all really good things. And SAFE also presents some possible business results based on their case studies, their aggregated case studies. As you can see down there in the lower right corner, 30% happier, more motivated employees, 50% faster time to market. Who wouldn't want those? Yeah, all of us. The big question I have for you though is, does implementing SAFE guarantee these results? I think you would agree with me that the answer is no. Will those results just magically appear once SAFE is fully implemented? Well, probably not. So how do you get from starting a SAFE transformation to these business results? What is the Candyland circuitous path? Does starting with SAFE guarantee these outcomes? And what if you are shooting for a different business outcome? For example, predictability, innovation, customer satisfaction. Well, you might not see those in these charts that SAFE provides. So why would you even consider SAFE if there's no evidence of leading to those particular business outcomes? Again, thinking like this is what I like to call cart before the horse. And to put it in the vernacular, it's back-assward. So we should always start our Agile transformation with a specific business outcome instead of installing an Agile scaling framework. And frankly, it's common to have more than just one business outcome. For example, We want to decrease our time to market by 30%, which is a speed business outcome, and increase our customers' satisfaction average NPS scores from 40 to 7. So that would be a customer satisfaction business outcome. And what you're seeing on the screen right now, these are some common business outcome categories from Agile Velocity's Path to Agility framework. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. So you'll see employee engagement, market responsiveness, predictability, etc. If you'd like more information on these, just reach out after the webinar. So always start with a scaled agile transformation and a good business. Always start a scaled agile transformation with a good business objective. Make sure it's specific, measurable, and inspiring. So let's pretend you have a business objective or several, a business outcome, and you've chosen a popular scaling framework such as SAFe. Well, what's missing? We all just agreed that implementing SAFe doesn't guarantee you'll meet your specific business outcome, right? So how do you bring in a framework and map it into your pursuit of a business objective? Well, I would propose this. After you have a business outcome or business objective, I use those phrases interchangeably, ask yourself, what agile outcomes will influence towards my business outcome? For example, if my business outcome has to do with speed, then some agile outcomes might be ability to focus, a predictable delivery cadence, and the ability to release continuously. And then ask yourself, for each agile outcome, what are some underlying capabilities involved that will anchor those changes for the better? For example, if we have an agile outcome called predictable delivery cadence, then some underlying capabilities might be limiting WIP, a predictable velocity, accurate forecasting, and creating a potentially releasable product increment every iteration. And these underlying capabilities can then be mapped to your chosen agile framework, such as SAFe, or better yet, put you in a position to make a good choice on a scaled agile framework. And a good coach or SAFe program consultant can help you determine these. Well, the SAFe practices end up enabling the agile capabilities. The agile capabilities drive these agile outcomes. And finally, the agile outcomes influence or accomplish the business outcome. So this set of agile outcomes and agile capabilities become what I like to call the connective tissue, mapping your business outcome to the underlying SAFe framework. Now, if you will take this approach, then three things will happen. Number one, the set of agile outcomes and capabilities effectively become your transformation backlog, guiding and road mapping out your transformation. Number two, your odds of achieving that business outcome will go up substantially, perhaps even exponentially. And then number three, this will allow you to customize the SAFe beast and tailor it down to just only what is truly required. Now, if you don't do some version of this agile outcomes and agile capabilities thinking and mapping, you're basically crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. You may actually get some good outcomes based on what SAFe has seen so far, but they may not even be related to what you were really shooting for. So that's not good enough in today's competitive market. So here's a view of Agile velocities, Agile outcomes. You'll notice that they're organized across three different levels or rows. From bottom up, it's team and then system, which is the team of teams, and then the organization, maybe considered that's portfolio type level. But also notice how they're organized across five different columns or stages with align, learn, predict, accelerate, and adapt, which are basically differing levels of agile maturity. And we also have 9 business outcome categories that I showed you before, such as speed, market responsiveness, customer satisfaction, employee engagement. And for each of these business outcomes, we know which Agile outcomes are likely influencers towards that business outcome. And I'll show you that on the very next slide. So here's a look at the speed business outcome and how it maps to the various Agile outcomes. You'll see speed. So at the org level, you've got ability to focus and decision agility. And then at the system level, you'll see faster time to value, market responsiveness, and network of teams. And then at the team level, you'll see the predictable delivery cadence, reduced cycle time, and release continuously at the team level. So as a reminder, each of these Agile outcomes have a set of 3 to 5 underlying Agile capabilities, complete with acceptance criteria that can be matched up to the SAFe practices so that we have the ties that bind and that connective tissue that ensures your business outcome will be met. So, okay, I've thrown a lot at you already. Let me take at least one example of this mapping and give you an idea of how it works. If time permits, we'll take a second example also. So, here's the speed business outcome, a very popular one in this volatile and complex world of today. Notice the SMART and inspiring business outcome statement that's right below the speed box there. And I'm emphasizing inspiring and compelling because we want this outcome or objective to become a rallying cry within your organization. And here are some Agile outcomes that will influence towards a speed-related business outcome. These are taken again from our Path to Agility framework. So think about what Agile outcomes will drive or influence towards the business outcome of speed. For example, ability to focus, decision agility at the org level, and the others I just mentioned. There's a lot of consensus and experience logic around these, but it's no prescriptive set. So now let's explore one of the Agile outcomes. In particular, the one with the blue box around it. It's called predictable delivery cadence. Now remember that Agile outcomes can be broken down into underlying capabilities. These capabilities are where we get into the actual cultural anchor points, like John Kotter calls them in his leading change approach. For example, there might be roles here, there might be events, there might be technical practices. And in addition to a description, capabilities can also have acceptance criteria, as I mentioned previously. The AC side of the cards are shown here to help us better understand when that capability is complete. So let's say that one of the underlying capabilities is this notion around potentially shippable product increment, or PSPI. So now what does SAFe say about the PSPI? Well, SAFe says every team builds a PSPI every iteration. And SAFe says the teams use XP practices to ensure quality of that PSPI. SAFe also says that there's a system demo every 2 weeks of a system increment where each team integrates their PSPI into the PSPIs of all of the other teams on the same Agile release train. And then SAFE says there's a program increment, which is effectively the final system demo within the 8 to 12 weeks. Okay, now let's say there's a second underlying capability called forecasting. Well, what does SAFE say about that? What are some of the constructs, events, or artifacts that come into play here? Well, SAFE says use a roadmap of 3 PIs, program increments, based on empirical data, not hope. The committed PI, the first PI, the one that we're planning, is considered a commitment. All PIs beyond that are considered forecasts subject to change. SAFE also says we have this notion of normalized story point estimates, and that we can aggregate those up to features and epics to help us forecast the future. And obviously metrics at all levels, in particular cycle time and lead time, that will again help lead to accurate forecasting. And then finally, on this example, let's say there's a third underlying capability called limit width. What does SAFE say about that? Well, SAFE says there should be a Kanban at all levels, the team level, the program level, the portfolio levels, with WIP limits. And in particular, the in progress column should have a WIP limit to encourage swarming and to encourage the fastest flow of value. SAFE also says there should be prioritized backlogs at all levels. And SAFE says we should pull only when capacity is available. Okay, I think time permits, so let's look at a second example, the employee engagement business outcome. So here's some Agile outcomes that will influence towards an employee engagement related business outcome. For example, Agile leadership and team empowerment at the org level, teams aligned to value at the system level, and then just team formed at the team level. So in this example, the Agile outcome that we're going to dive into is called teams aligned to value. We all know how important that is. So let's say that one of the underlying Agile capabilities is value streams identified. So what does SAFE say about that? Well, SAFE says that there should be value stream workshops to identify the different value streams within your organization. And when you do that, you should consider the operational value stream, which is kind of a customer journey level, in addition to the underlying development value streams, which are actually building the systems that are used within the operational value stream. And these value streams should be manifested and made visible at all levels within a SAFE organization. Well, let's say there's a second underlying capability called teams aligned to value streams. And so what does SAFE say about that? What are some of the constructs, the events, the artifacts that come into play? Well, here's some things that SAFE says about teams aligned to value streams. SAFE says we should always organize around the flow of value. And so build out your ARTs or Agile release trains consisting of cross-functional Agile teams that are involved in building these systems across the development value streams. SAFE also says we should have minimal component teams. And if we do have any component teams on the ARTs, we should evolve the ARTs over time to become more and more cross-functional. And in doing so, will reduce dependencies. And finally, on this example, let's explore the capability clear value proposition. What does SAFE say about that? Well, SAFE says all teams should have a team charter mapping out their vision and mission. SAFE also says we're going to use weighted shortest job first prioritization to ensure that we're delivering a consistent or constant level of value. SAFE also recommends this product owner synchronization event within each iteration and within the program increment, so that we are synchronizing around the content, the features, and the stories that are delivering the highest value. SAFE also says that, well, it has this vision capability icon within the spanning palette that can be applied at any level. And then finally, business value, planned business value is determined by the business owners during PI planning. All of those add up to make sure and help ensure that the organization has a clear value proposition. Okay, quick time check. We're down to 9 minutes, so let's wrap up. Here's your takeaway. Start with a business outcome and then map it to your chosen scaling framework using this idea of agile outcomes and capabilities. And these agile outcomes and underlying capabilities form, again, what I call the connective tissue. They're the ties that bind. These ties will guide your transformation and ensure that your chosen framework, SAFE, DAD, Nexus, Scrum at Scale, whatever, is linked to your desired business outcome. This is a very targeted, directed, outcome-oriented approach to an agile transformation, and it helps to ensure that your business outcomes are met. So stop wasting transformation dollars. Take an approach like this and get the value that is needed from all of your efforts. So throughout the webinar, I've alluded to Agile Velocity's Path to Agility framework. Here's the 5 stages. Align stage. This is aligning the Agile initiative with measurable business outcomes and defining a clear transformation roadmap. Next stage is learn. This is where we establish the foundational Agile practices and a culture of learning by empowering teams to take ownership of their work and their process. Now notice that this is where the Satir curve dips down as the organization kind of reforms and starts learning and starts adjusting to their new world. Well, the good news is that hopefully that doesn't last too long, and we get into this predict stage where the teams and the organization can now maintain a predictable cadence of delivery and enable the organizations to make better and more informed business decisions. So once you're predictable, then you can accelerate on that. And this is all about optimizing the full value stream and shortening the time to market. And then finally, adapt, which is embracing organization-wide agility in order to quickly respond to market demands. So thank you for your time today. I know this was short and sweet. If you'd like more information, just add your email ID into the chat window and we'll send you some more information and a link to this recording. info@agilevelocity.com is a good email ID if you'd like some more details on our Path to Agility framework or the different Agile outcomes and Agile capabilities. So now we're right at 5 or 6 minutes remaining. I'll take some questions in our time left. So I'm going to launch the Q&A window here. And Mary writes, if you have already started your lean agile transformation using SAFE, do you recommend going back to an outcome-oriented approach for the LPM? Great question, Mary. I personally would answer that you have to balance meeting the organization where they are right now. I would not describe it as go back and do a redo. So, a good collection of coaches and SPCs will help meet you where you are right now. But in addition to that, I would like to add this. It's never too late to inject outcome and discuss the Agile outcomes and underlying capabilities, you can start that today, no matter where you are or what you have done in the past. It's truly that flexible. So hopefully that answered your question, Mary. Thank you again for that. We have an anonymous attendee offering a question. What are some common anti-patterns? I think I'll hold that one for the end. Um, and then another anonymous attendee says, would this approach for implementing safe work for non-IT teams? Well, the answer is yes. Short and sweet. Um, there's parts of, once you get into the underlying capabilities, that those of us from a product development and software background, it's fairly easy for us to talk about, DevOps and product increments and quality aspects of building software. But that's where you have to put your particular situation, whether it's marketing, HR, or sales or whatever, what constitutes a small product increment. And obviously it's not software capability related, but there's going to be some aspects of your particular domain that make sense. So yes, this technique and outcome oriented approach definitely transcends software and even transcends product development. So is there a place to purchase the deck of business outcome cards? I believe so, but please, if you don't mind, reach out to info@agilevelocity.com and ask that question. And perhaps even on the follow-up for this webinar, we can answer that question. One question that I kind of skipped and punted on that I'd like to address right now is, what are some common anti-patterns experienced during a safe transformation? And that's broader than this webinar, but I'll offer this to you. In my experience, there are 3 common anti-patterns. The first one is launching Agile release trains with component teams. Please, please, please do not do that. You are scaling component teams, and they are naturally going to be more interested in the quantity of output than they are in terms of integrating outcomes. So nothing against component teams, but just remember what SAFe says. Your Agile teams should be cross-functional, not component teams. And there may be a rare case where you have a single component team, but all of the other 8 teams on the ART are cross-functional, no problem, as long as they're effectively integrating every iteration. Okay, so avoid launching ARTs with component teams. Do the hard work of restructuring at the team level to cross-functional first, and then scale up and launch your ARTs. Okay. Second anti-pattern: business owners not present during PI planning. We need the business owners there to set the context and to establish the planned business value during the team breakout sessions. And then thirdly, installing SAFe without a business outcome. I have actually seen that. We just want to get better is not a valid business outcome. Okay, so that's probably the best way to wrap up this webinar is reminding everyone that you've got to start with a business outcome. If you don't, you've got the horse behind the cart and you're kind of heeling and kicking the horse to prod it into pushing the cart, and you'll have all kinds of difficulty. And then last question, how can we create a cross-functional team after several years of dedicated teams and at the same time align us with SAFe? There's no way to do it in conjunction with aligning to SAFe. You have to create cross-functional teams in order to go SAFe. And I'll be as bold as even saying this: you have to create cross-functional teams to go Agile. Yes, I really just said that. So it's not really a safe question, it's an agile question. Um, Reread the Scrum guide. I know everybody's like, oh, we don't have to keep reading that. Well, reread it and see how many times it mentions cross functional. I think you'll be amazed like me. Thanks, Marco. That was a great question. I wish I had a better answer for you, but it's to swallow hard and bite the bullet and get your teams cross functional before you scale.